Hello and welcome to the Circuit Breakers interview series. I'm your host, Steve Semler, and today I'm joined by Heather Boschke, who's the marketing strategist and the founder at Vogel Venture, an innovative Minneapolis-based company that helps clients level up their marketing to drive engagement, growth, and results. Heather, thanks for joining us.
Hi, Steve.
Yeah, very happy to have you here. I'm really eager to hear more about your journey and the things and lessons learned that you had over the years. Would you mind starting us off with just a little bit about who you are and what you do?
Yes. Like you said, Heather Boschke. I'm from Wisconsin originally, but been here in the cities now for 23 years. So it's very much home. And I've always done marketing. That has been my jam since I was an undergrad. And I spent 22 years in corporate. And for the last 4 years, I've been helping small businesses really with fractional leadership, marketing strategy, key messaging, or plugging in however it makes sense for their business.
Yeah. How did you get the idea to go and start your own business, kind of moving off corporate?
Well, it wasn't really my idea. I got fired in 2021 and I it's like the universe just shined a light on a different path. I never wanted to be a business owner, never ever thought about it. I just thought I was going to climb the corporate ladder and that would be it. And so after getting fired, I was just catching up with people and applying for jobs when 4 or 5 of those conversations ended with the question, can we pay you to help us with marketing? And so I had demand, there was clients, and I thought, why not try this? And when I don't have clients in 6 months, I'll just go get a job. It's fine. And that was 4 years ago. And I am having such a great time partnering with small businesses, doing my own thing, learning aspects of business and parts of myself that I didn't even realize that I would be going on this like journey of self-discovery. So it's been quite a surprise and not the plan at all.
Yeah, that's neat. There's when I've talked with like corporate CEOs and controllers and CFOs and folks like with career development workshops, one of the pieces of advice I keep hearing from them, even on the corporate side, is I didn't I didn't have like a planned out path. There were things back and forth that got me to where I was now. So their
Yeah.
advice has always been stay open to that
Yes.
discovery. It sounds like you've
I
done
could
just that.
not agree with that more. I mean, especially because how I grew up was so sort of opposite of that. So I think in so many ways, we're actually not taught to be open and to trust maybe our own intuition. It's you're going to go to school and you do your grades and you get good grades, and then you go to other schools and then you graduate and then you get jobs. And then it's just kind of like things feel mapped out in a way that I know I never questioned it. It was like, okay, I graduated. I will get a job now and now I will get promoted. And so I just this idea of being open and not having a plan is very counterculture. But it is the best, I will say.
Yeah, neat. And I know you're doing lots of different things, like with certainly the marketing consulting, the consulting work, but also the art
Yeah,
with the birds and teaching, with Metro
yeah.
State. So how have you discovered kind of through all your different experiences, kind of what gets you into that flow state where you're doing your best?
I think I lost my flow state for a really long time. And I think that I muscled through, mostly in corporate. Um, but I think I muscled through. I grinded it out. I did what needed to be done at the expense of probably my mental health, my physical health. And it took kind of getting kicked off the wheel when, I got let go and I went out on my own. And what happened was I realized I had like all this energy. Like I didn't even realize how much I was being weighed down by corporate politics and bad bosses and just bad behavior and expectations that maybe were unrealistic. I just
Mm.
had no idea how heavy all that was until I didn't have that anymore. And then it was like, oh my God, I've got all this energy to do more things. And now I get to do things that energize me in all sorts of ways. And so I'm doing all these different things. And some people will say, like, oh my God, aren't you tired? Number one, I take a nap every single day. Yesterday I took 2 naps. So that was a very, very good day. And number two, I do things that fuel my energy. So this stuff doesn't drain me or make me tired. I want to do more of it. So yes, there's something about when you do tap into that flow state. And for me, it was drawing, like brought me back there. It was doing an activity where I lost myself as a kid. I didn't do it for 30 years. And after COVID lockdown is when that little voice in my heart kind of spoke up again. And so I found that flow again. And once you find that again, you keep craving it. So part of my week now, it means I'm spending time looking at birds, drawing birds, doing things to move that forward because there is a peace and a joy that, quite frankly, is like another level with that stuff.
Yeah, and it sounds like intentionally planning that in to your time too.
If we don't intentionally plan things, life will happen. And that's how it's like, oh my God, it's December and where did the year go? Like I am very militant about my calendar. My naps are in my calendar. My bird time is in the calendar. Buffer time between meetings is in my calendar because I never want to have back-to-back meetings ever again if I can help it. And so I think we do need to all like step back, think about what we want for our life and like be intentional because our time is the only non-renewable resource that we have. And it's sort of the thing that we give away the most without any regard. It's like we can make more money. We can't make more time. So we need to make sure we're carving out time for the things that bring us joy, make us feel good, fill our heart, feed our soul. And if we're not doing that, odds are you're going to find yourself a little restless, a little discontented, and maybe a little angry. Like I remember feeling those ways. And it was because my life was running me, not the other way around.
Yeah, very sage words there. Yeah. Yeah, part of the thing that gets me going is ultimately kind of my why. If you go back to like Simon Sinek and stuff, my why is I want people to be successful,
Mm.
which is what has led to um, the training work, which has led to the leadership development work, which has then led to coaching, so I can do deeper work with one-on-one with people, things like that. Um, but ultimately, when I am doing what you're talking about and spending time working on things that are helping make people successful, that's where my energy and flow is coming from. It's when I have to do the other stuff, the other business stuff.
And we
This,
have to do the other stuff
yeah, yeah,
But I love that because it also just simplifies things for you. If what you're doing is not making someone else successful, you know what you shouldn't be doing.
yep, exactly. Yeah, and it kind of taking on that onto the next question here. I've been working with simulations, so business simulations and what I
Mm.
call business fiction. I work with a client and they say, "Hey, we want people to be better in this particular skill or cluster of skills, things like that. Could be project management, could be leadership, could be marketing or buying work." And they say, "Steve, help us get people into actually learning how to do this better." And I say, great. And I learn about their situation. I write the business case and into a simulation where they dive into the challenge first person and they work through it, trying things out rather than just taking a class. So I'm trying to keep it up to date with things like AI and different tools to help me with that. What are some of the things that you're keeping on top of in terms of trends or tools and things for your side of the business?
I mean, obviously, we can't have a conversation about trends and tools without talking about AI. And there are various tools that I use that do make me more productive and efficient and make me better by helping me think in different ways. I'm a solopreneur, I don't have employees or 1099 contractors. And so it is nice to sometimes feel like I've got a partner. It's like, hey, you know what? I'm brainstorming these different topics. Which ones would create the most impact for XYZ? And it just can sometimes shake the dust off. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of really great tools. And a calendar tool that I absolutely love is called Reclaim. And I've moved from Calendly to Reclaim for a few reasons. You can build your habits in that tool. Anytime someone puts a meeting in my calendar, it always buffers that time. So I'll never have, those back to backs. And then it also gives you stats on how you're using your time. Because again, if time is the most important, it's like time is the wealth. It's the most important wealth we have. It truly is. And so this calendar tool keeps me honest with how I'm spending my time versus how I say I want to spend my time. ChatGPT has been great. Their new Canvas tool where you can actually kind of collaborate on different writing assignments. And there's a lot
Mm.
of great video tools that have come up recently too. And so, because I'm an instructor at Metro State, I have got to stay up on everything. Like I am teaching marketing to students, and marketing is changing so quickly between all the different tools. COVID was, I mean, it created a whole nother level of marketing knowledge and know-how and what we had to do to make things relevant and pivot. And so I think that the nature of teaching, and you're a teacher, you're a coach, you have to know what you're talking about and you have to stay up on everything so that you can explain things in simple terms. And I think that not only does my work as an instructor make me a better marketer, but I also think vice versa because I bring all of that real world, you know, the case studies, the what happened, what does the book say, and then what does the real world do? I bring all of that to my students, so it's kind of a lovely, like symbiotic, relationship between the two.
Yeah, being able to go back and forth between what's going on and what's good and how does it work in the real world,
Yeah,
and bring those both to students is just so much value for them in
yeah.
simplifying and cutting through things.
Yeah, yes. And honestly, as an instructor, it's a whole new world with AI too. I mean, I can't really assign papers anymore because, if they are using AI, it's all good. So it's been interesting to like actually use your human brain to pivot and figure out, okay, so if papers aren't the best way, we do a lot of like oral presentations now, and we do a lot of discussions in real time. So that I can really see, because I'm not always in person with them, are they understanding the knowledge? What do I need to tweak? But there's no just, I'm going to put an input and then send something over. So it's been interesting to pivot in real time as an instructor, as these new tools make it kind of harder to just do what we've always done. And that's not a bad thing.
Yeah. How does that translate over into the marketing work you do with the clients?
I mean, I would say it gives me more time to do the things that I really love. I mean, and don't get me wrong, I do love marketing. It is what I get paid to do, though. And so I'm glad that I love it. I hope everyone loves what they get paid to do, but it is just a job. And we are all so much more than that. So if I'm more efficient on the marketing side, maybe I can get my stuff done in like 10 to 15 hours a week, maybe 20. And then I get the rest of the time to go birding and draw birds and maybe create new children's books. But I think that that is the beauty of some of these efficiency tools is that I can take time back so I can optimize for the things in my life that are really important to me, like optimizing for joy and optimizing for play versus just sitting in front of my computer all day, churning out and being even more productive. So I want to get the same stuff done, but then I want all of that time to fuel other things.
Yeah. Sounds like that conscious choice, the intentional choice is a key piece of what's making you successful here.
Yeah, I mean, we have to stop and really think about what we're doing with our time. And I think because for so long I was a bit of that hamster on the wheel, I am more intentional now. And I do bake in time for like, am I doing the things I say that are important to me? Because for a lot of times I would say one thing and then like do another. And I will let myself get away with everything. So part of it is also having people that hold you accountable. And my husband's a
Mhm.
good one. If I'm working past noon on a Friday, which I've said, I want a 4-day work week. I start my weeks at noon on Monday, they end at noon on Fridays. And if on Friday afternoon I'm sitting in front of my computer working on something, he'll be like, "What's up with this? I thought you were done at noon." And so there is something about people holding you accountable. And because I love my work too, I can get lost in it. But what I really want to be doing is not being in front of a screen.
Yeah. Yeah. That's one of the things that I think is a challenge for folks as we are more remote or distributed
Yeah.
or spending time in front of a screen is it's hard to be accountable to a computer. It's
Mhm.
easy to be accountable to a person. So we can have that when you have that partnership, it makes things flow with accountability of saying, oh, so much easier. Yep, I said I was going to do this.
That's exact because that's where our integrity comes in. I mean, our computer, like if we snooze and alert, our
Yeah,
computer isn't going to think differently of us, right? So I think it does come back to our integrity as humans. And are we doing what we say we're going to do? Which is why there's so much power when you tell someone you're going to do something. Because if you don't, okay, now there's values at stake.
absolutely. That's one of the actually the benefits of coaching that, folks who've gone and used the coaching have said, I could do this on my own, but I've got so much stuff that I've got to get done that I just put this development stuff off to the side and it just slides and slides and snoozes.
Yes.
But the coach is helping me, you know, so say on a weekly or bi-weekly basis, say, well, here's what you said you're going to do. How'd you do? Yeah.
That's exactly right.
Well, thinking about your business, if you could like wave a magic wand over your business and make one thing better or
Hmm.
relieve one key obstacle, what would that be?
I would say, we live in a remote world right now, and I do I do wish sometimes that, especially as a fractional, you're not like in an office as much. And there are times that, especially with sales teams, I wish I could be in the office with the sales team, listening to their calls, going on ride alongs with them, like things that I used to do when I was part of the corporate world. So it's just harder. Like I've got less time. And I'm not top of mind with them all the time. So it is a challenge. And that's also on me to create those bridges of trust and communication so that they do think of me. But sometimes having more of that face time could go a long way, especially with sales. Like me and the sales teams have got to be in lockstep. I am supporting them. And so that is something that I can work on. But if I had a magic wand, I would like build in an extra day of the week where I could be in the office and on ride alongs with them more than I do today. Because again, my time is limited. I'm not salary. So it's a very different dynamic in terms of FaceTime and how to spend your time as a fractional when you've got the marketing piece that you're trying to move forward. But sales is so critical to that. So that is a piece that I wish was a bit more magically like easy.
I bet, and it sounds like you're doing the best thing you can do, though. The tips from lots of other folks have been be intentional
Yeah. Yes.
about,
Yes. And that is, and I would encourage anyone on the marketing side, talking to the salespeople, talking to the IT teams, like you probably have the biggest relationship with the CEO, which for the most part, I usually do in my engagements. You can't forget about all the other players that, marketing goes through everything. Marketing goes through IT. So when an email signature needs to be updated, you got to work with the IT team to standardize that. When a new so I've got new salespeople joining one of the organizations I'm a fractional CMO for, and so I've got to make sure that, okay, do they have all the information that they need? Am I updating things that's got their information on it? So it's just really paying attention to not only your own function, which is so easy to do, but how does that impact others? And sometimes taking that extra 10 minutes or 5 minutes to send the email to a peer or jump on a call, it goes a really long way because you want to be that trusted partner, even though you're not full time. You still want them to know that you're there for them.
yeah, yeah, and that's the relationship part
Yeah.
that works together with the results. We can get better
Yes.
results, relationships can get better relationships because we've gotten results together, and it just works together in
Yes.
us.
And that trust, because I've been on teams where sales is pointing the finger at marketing and vice versa, and other departments as well. Like you have to remember the fight is not inside, right? Like we want to collaborate and work together. And when you don't have that guardrail of thinking someone's going to point a finger, it's amazing how much more productive and efficient and creative you can be together because you are on the same side.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, I think we've already been getting into this, but what advice would you offer for aspiring entrepreneurs or folks who are just starting out there or facing challenges in their businesses?
I think when I've got my biggest challenges, it's usually self-doubt around like, I mean, I remember when I started my business, it was like, who's going to pay me to do anything? I don't have a big logo attached to my name anymore. Like my company is a name I made up, like who am I to do this? And I remember so vividly having feelings. And when those doubts creep up again, because they do, I'm like, those doubts creep up. I just talked to a business owner and then it all comes back. I'm adding value. I'm asking the right questions. They're having ahas. I'm connecting dots. And so, anyone that's struggling, whether business isn't coming in or you're second guessing yourself, like get out of your head and get out and talk to your target market and your customers because it's going to remind you of all the value that you have.
Absolutely. Yeah. There's a lot of ways that we can self-sabotage.
Oh, yeah. I mean, our brains are not wired for like positivity, right? We're like meant to look for all the dangers and protect ourselves. And so, again, being intentional about, I think that's why, meditating is so great. Positive affirmations, like whatever you need to do to get your mind in a space where it's not always going towards the negative, because those neural pathways are like deep and they've been entrenched in us for so long. And so we do have to actively work to like reprogram ourselves for opportunity, for abundance, for knowing that we are always in the right place at the right time, and everything that is meant for us will always come our way. Like we cannot miss out on what's meant for us. And so we have to remember those things.
Yeah, absolutely. That's one of the reasons I do the PQ coaching or positive intelligence coaching. One of the articles I'd written for my newsletter is use cognitive bias in your favor.
Mm.
Choose what you're going to filter for being the positive, and that will help you, exactly like you said,
Yes.
rewire the neural pathways a bit.
That's exactly right. I mean, and if someone's on their phone all the time and all they see is like divisive stuff and bad things happening and terrible news, it's like, well, you got to stop looking at that stuff because the algorithm is feeding you what you are engaging with. Like, I look at my phone and I see like cats doing silly things and puppies being adorable. And it's like, you actually are in charge of your algorithm based on what you are looking at. So make sure the things you're looking at are actually going to bring you joy or make you happy or lighthearted, because that's going to impact your state of mind.
Absolutely. Back to the intentionality.
Yeah.
Choose where you want to go and how you want to spend your time. And then
Yes.
that will filter. That will filter for you.
Right. Right.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Thank you so much for being with me here today, Heather. It's great to meet you, to learn a little bit about your journey and about the other things you're doing. And for folks who are watching, when you're faced with challenges in your own business, consider these tips. Consider what Heather's offering here. Be intentional, and of course, reach out to me, Steve Semler, for training and support. And I'm here at FocalPoint LearningSim, helping techies be great leaders and making people successful. Thanks.
Thanks for having me.